Yo, what's going on, guys? This is Grim Reaper bringing you a One Punch Man review. Today we're covering chapter 134. It was not necessarily a short chapter. It wasn't the longest of chapters, but it was definitely a good chapter. So today we're going to be covering all the way from points covering Genos' crazy offensive ability that we've now seen, as well as the relationship between Tatsumaki and Genos. There's some more things in between, but in the meantime, you guys make sure to like and subscribe. If you guys want to support the channel, we have a Patreon that you guys can donate to at any time period, and that helps us grow the channel and grow the capabilities that we have. Like, we need a new CPU if you guys want to support with that. If you guys want to talk about this topic and any of the topic that we talked about throughout One Punch Man, especially this chapter though, especially Tatsumaki, especially that boost that Genos got, make sure you check out the link in the description for the Discord as well. Now, send out this link and let's get it started. So, we talked about in previous weeks the speculation amongst Genos' power, whether Genos' power is at a high dragon level, whether his power is at above dragon level confirmed, and there was some strong speculation and reasons to doubt and to believe on both sides. I think this week clears up a lot of the speculation, or at least adds more data to use in your own viewpoint or opinion. For example, in the previous iteration, it was a drill cannon, right? Chapter 1 through 3 showed us that, and before that, that Genos can deflect a lot of these attacks. And he came up with the idea himself. He kind of took Tatsumaki by surprise to come up with a tandem where he would deal with the big cannons, the earth cutters, as I dubbed them, while Tatsumaki actually does the actual combat and tries to maneuver and defeat Sairochi. This week, we see a different angle. From the beginning, we saw an incineration cannon, a powerful beam attack from Genos. Can't really say too sure if the arms mode is a variation of this, but even if it isn't, the incineration cannon was a powerful, cool looking attack. Then we got the improved variant, the super incineration cannon. He uses it against Elder Centipede and incinerated his insides, but a testament to the true strength of a high dragon, of a very, very powerful high dragon. The top notches, the strongest of juggernauts, a true monster. Elder Centipede tanked it. Now, it's not any monster that could tank that, especially from the inside. There's not very many characters in the series who could have somebody go inside of them, do an attack like that, and survive. So, I wouldn't really take the super incineration cannon away from Genos. It was very, very powerful. But this is more of an escalation than you would even conceive. Now, I personally want to use my own speculation to say that there could be another incineration cannon variant that should be before this, because this true incineration cannon, as was dubbed in the by Lucci85, shout out to Lucci for the translation, it's way up here. And the latest, as I just mentioned, the super incineration cannon was powerful, but it was down here. And if I'm not mistaken, if you guys will support the idea, and if you guys don't have evidence against it, it looks like Genos with the true incineration cannon, he canceled out completely the earth cutting attack. Now, we don't have any information to say that these attacks are like weaker now than they were before. Murata gave Tatsumaki the dialogue to explicitly say that she's going to ensure that Sairochi cannot aim her earth cutters at the ground, that they'll be going upwards. So we've been seeing that. We've been seeing all kinds of attacks, multi-directional, but they're all going upward, all avoiding the ground, or if not, they're not strong enough to do as much damage as they were before. Like the other dragon heads that Sairochi popped out from, like, the rocks underneath. So we saw the true incineration cannon like drill through the earth cutter. We saw the like bands of energy wiping around and like unraveling around Genos' beam, and then it was just canceled out. I don't think there are any dragons that can do that. Now, we obviously have the understanding that there are plenty of monsters, plenty of characters, plenty of heroes who can have a certain level of attacks, or base attacks, or common attacks, and then escalate with a final power-up or a finishing move. Atomic Samurai is an example, Flash Flash is an example. The Atomic Slash and the Flashy Slash are two extremes of the capabilities. So to say they couldn't produce similar feats without those named attacks, but those attacks are named for a reason. Now, am I saying that, like, because this is a named attack, that's the same consideration? No. It's obviously the 10-second mode is something different. It's more assimilated to maybe Boros' release state. Not to say it's similar in power level, but in that type of concept to where there's a second portion. You can even consider Bug God as well. Bug God had a second power-up. Anything like that, a second stage. So, if that's going to be incorporated into his character, that he has that Genos has a regular base fighting ability, but he also has, like, a super powered up Bug God or second stage type state, 10-second mode, then is it really fair to, like, not consider that part of his arsenal? Because we saw he can enter it at any time period. It's kind of like having a bazooka or like a nuclear weapon. Like, it's considered into your strength calculation, even though you're not using it. Even though it's not active, you still have within yourself. So, I guess you could use it as one argument to say that Genos is above Dragon. If he can at any time period access his power level, and he can use the ability to produce above Dragon techniques on multiple, like, occasions, not necessarily spam, but it's not a joke, then what are we really saying? Like, it's almost similar to the final attacks that a lot of these characters have. And a lot of these characters are given their stronger ranks because of their final attacks. Like, Flashy Flash did an amazing job, and he would have been a dragon regardless of the Flashy Slash, or that combo at the end with the Flashy Kicks. But the Flashy Slash, Flashy Kicks combo is why he's given such a high dragon-like epithet. Because he proved that not only can he fight them on an extended basis at that high level, but he could also finish the match like nothing. So, case in point, if Atomic Samurai, Flashy Flash, Darkshine, all these characters with their base stats and an ultimate attack can be considered at this rank, with all that included, shouldn't we also include just his 10-second mode into his final calculation? Shouldn't he then be in the above dragon category? Now, on the verse side, the opposite side, we have, I don't want to say the more sensible argument, the more concrete, stabilized one. Maybe one that people will be more attracted to because it's more comforting. Genos doesn't have to have this huge boost and this huge power up in your face. Even though it's obvious that he's gonna, like, lose his power up somehow. That's the whole, like, caveat to the whole thing. He can become this strong, but he'll lose it. So let's pretend like, or let's not pretend, it's the reality. We don't know if he was really gonna lose it. We don't know what the reality is. He hasn't been given up his actual level rank or anything like that. Heroes don't get that. So let's pretend that just with his original base powers, right? We'll consider this an extreme. Are Genos' base powers, like, weak or non-high dragon? On the contrary, I'd say that, like, for everything that we saw, it's dragon. I wouldn't say high dragon exactly, but there are some traits that, well, let me just point the traits to you. So, not only do we have the speed, well, no. Let me paint it to you preferably, bruh. Biasly, though. From the bottom of the association, we saw how deep it is. We saw, like, that Flashy Flash using his tremendous speed. He was able to speed all the way down there to the bottom of it. To the bottom. He was the first one to encounter an enemy. And we don't even know if it was like that was like the lowest region. Because it probably wasn't. Honestly, probably wasn't. We saw in Child Emperor's first redrawn fight, they got down to the lake. And then in the third redrawn fight, they got even past the lake. So, it's I'm trying to point out that, like, the distance that they had, that Flashy traveled, is extensive. And he got there quickly. Genos traveled that same exact distance upward. If not more so, because more of the base was pulled up. All of the base was pulled up, quote unquote. He managed to get all the way to the top of that in no time. In the time that Sairochi got off a cannon, Genos flew up there in time to deflect it with his own. Amazing travel speed. That's not the only instance. The second instance of amazing travel speed is in this chapter. When he's sitting there on the bottom, towards the bottom portion of the screen, fighting off the lower blasts that were coming at both of them. Then Sairochi managed to span spam an advantageous Earth Cutter at Tatsumaki. We even got the little shock panel where she didn't know what was gonna happen. Genos zooms over there in time to let off his true incineration cannon. That's not average speed, and he's flying. He's not like ricocheting off the ground. He's not like jumping or anything like that. He's just using his rockets, and he's fast. We know that. We know that he can fly pretty effectively, but still, like, this is some like little feat he got there before the attack got there. That's incredible, incredible. Let's talk about his trauma, his ability to cause trauma, right? The best instance that we have is G5's stronger than average core. Now, giving a testament to Atomic Samurai and obviously acknowledging the situation that he did quickly and easily defeat G5, but G5 managed to escape with the majority of his armor like torn apart, but intact enough to travel and maneuver. And he was still debilitated on to where like his laser would work. It's fine, whatever the situation may be. The inside core, just like it was a little bit tougher for Genos to deal with it in the G4 variant, G5's core is pretty tough, so he managed to tank the Atomic Slash, one of the stronger attacks that we've seen, but it's more so known for its piercing ability and its indomitable speed. So, to see him be able to deal with that, which is probably just like he could have cut it for sure in the second effort, but to see G5's core tank that, and then to have Genos with, I think it was a jet arrow kick, like, just indent it and then force it to implode with a single attack, like, it was a testament to the ability of Genos' power. Like I said, that was a named attack, I believe, a jet driver arrow. It still shows that combat-wise, outside of second mode, Genos can deal with demons, strong demons, competent demons, pretty easily. Again, like I said, G5's combat ability was pretty much disabled by Atomic Samurai beforehand, but it still goes to show that Genos managed to do that, and that's a feat for his ability to cause trauma. And then we have the other examples with his lasers and beams, how they are flying everywhere, and just basically just handling business. Wherever they went, whatever Genos was trying to get accomplished before the fight, he pretty much got it done. He even saved the boys. He saved Second Guard and the boys as well, right after with Drive Night. So, I don't mean to ramble on, because we've done this for 12 minutes. But I think it's fair to paint both sides. That sure, Genos' base combat ability seems to be dragging for sure now. And if we don't want to count the 10-second mode as integrated into his base skill and we want to call it an exception, an extreme that he has, then fine. I still think he's an above dragon with his basic skill. Excuse me, a high dragon with his basic skill, and a 10-second mode pushes him to that next limit. On the vice versa side, I think it is considerable or acceptable to consider all of that into one thing. Like, those are all abilities that he has. Like, you don't separate our nukes as a country from our arsenal. Like, we don't use them. We're not threatening anybody with them. But they are a capability that we do have the ability to employ. So, it's the same thing with Genos. I don't see why we would separate that. But, with that being the case, it was interesting to see Tatsumaki and Genos basically, like, what's the word? Connecting like they were. We saw it in previous chapters as well, whenever Genos took charge of the situation, because Tatsumaki's usually in charge and she's usually arrogant and manhandling things. He came in without asking her and told her what the strategy was, and she bought into it. So it could be that we're seeing aspects of that dynamic, that's what Muneta was trying to accentuate or show us, that like Tatsumaki's being like acceptant of assistance in a situation like this. Like, she was willing to accept help when she normally isn't. And maybe that's just a viewpoint that's true. But I can't help but also feel that, like, there has to be some romanticism that's being alluded to here. The face-to-face picture, the pose up, like, the fact that she came up behind his ear and was like, thanks for helping, Demon Cyborg. Like, she doesn't say thank you to anybody, like, things that don't normally happen, and like for Tatsumaki to say it so easily without having to be like bugged, it makes you think that like she has her own motivation to do it. It's not just appreciation for the assistance. It's not just the fact that she was shocked that he took command and was effective, but that like she may actually have some feelings for that. Like we understand how she feels about King. He exudes competence. Like that's all she knows as his entire reputation. Like he gets the job done and he's powerful when he does it. So she accepts him. She not only tolerates him, but she seems to like favor King amongst anybody else. So is Genos getting into that category? It seems like his comments at the end kind of like broke the love, broke the connection there momentarily. But I can't help but like believe that like the seeds are already planted there. That Tatsumaki may be more affectionate towards Genos than otherwise like hinted at. Maybe we'll see that again if like they manage to talk, and like when they do that, she's nice off the bat instead of just being mean. Maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll be like the advantage point there. But like, I don't know what I'm supposed to take from that though, because I do believe it is true that like it's the friend aspect, or it's the like the taking the charge shocked aspect. I believe that's a true fact in the situation. But I also think she's actually like feeling for him, and I'd be interested to see like, you know, Tatsumaki and Genos. Yeah. All right. We only got like 5 minutes left, so I think we should be able to cover everything else before we head out. So I guess Cyberchi's comments do confirm the fact that like the drill cannon can't cancel out her beams or whatever, but that like they're efficient, and her not expecting him to be able to cancel the other one, that also means something too. We saw the boys. So actually, I was thinking about this too. Is it realistic to? Am I supposed to really believe that after like she's not having to worry about the different heroes and protecting them, and she can now stop an Earth Cutter and then deflect it, push it to the side like that? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand the thing, and this is why the poll question is asked: is Tatsumaki using her full power? Because we've seen her in an emotional state. We've seen her with her eyes whited out. We've seen her excited before, and it was still not her full power. And it didn't seem like she was being casual either. Or excuse me, it didn't seem like she was like. I don't know how to phrase it. Like, I'm basically saying, is this even her full power? And like, does it really take that much to protect a few heroes, like less than 10, 11 heroes or whatever, with like orbs? I mean, a bunch of them, like a few of them you didn't even get or protect. Like, I'm saying, like, it seems like the scapegoat excuse to say that now she can like really let loose again, even more let loose, because she was preoccupied with protecting the heroes while doing all this stuff. That seems far-fetched. She was able to lift an entire coast while doing that. And sure, this obviously makes it like clear that now we can say more about it. Like, what else could she have lifted if she wasn't holding the heroes? Like, were the heroes that much of an impediment? I don't know if I like that excuse. And I came to that realization after like thinking about it for a second. Like, what do you like? She was holding back. What do you mean, Sarochi? Like, she was holding back still? Like, she did a lot, like really crazy things. Like, she's a monster. I agree with you. And that was the quote that we saw in Lucci's translation. Like, she's a monster, but like, there's some things to talk about, which we'll address more so in the prediction video, such as if Genos is really going to be done or not. I enjoyed seeing the Sea City Association and the perspective of the situation that was going on. The girl that's cute. I love the association girls, but they're all bad, bro. They're all bad. And I'm not sure what to think or say about the feat about twisting. It looks like the entirety of Z City. That's something that we should also probably talk about in the prediction video, the consequences of that. Is this a feat greater than the other ones? I've saw that before. I think it was Lub, or I think it was Negus in the Discord, who mentioned that this attack or this feat may be comparable or greater than her previous feats. I don't think so, but I may have to reread to see if it is the entirety of ZC that's being twisted, or if it is just a lawless region. Because in the previous assault, or where the tsunami hit, or when the other attacks were, when she was lifting the base, it only seemed to be like the lawless area that was being affected. I was kind of upset with that, because the lawless area didn't seem that huge, or at least that like the portion of the lawless area that Saitama was in, it didn't seem that far away from like the civilized area. So to see like this gargantuan like expansiveness of like destruction that she's caused, and like we're not seeing the true results like affect the actual city. Maybe it has. I'm not sure. If it has affected the occupied city, then it's reasonable. This attack may be the strongest feat that she's had. If not, then it's not. With that being said, that's gonna be it for the review for 134. It was a pretty good chapter. Please remind me, or I'll remind you guys, but we're gonna be doing the polls now. I've set up a bunch of polls for like I think the rest of the week. So we'll have videos to do, so our patrons can sub into there. If you guys want to have a Patreon and have your question read first, and do stuff like that, you guys support us with like $2 or $1, however much it is, $5, in a bunch of different tiers. Let's talk about this chapter, bro. Some stuff it wasn't that long or that crazy, but it does settle some things. Is Orochi gonna like get his chance in Saitama? Like squeezing all this blood and stuff and like squeezing them like that, Orochi, like I feel like it's gonna like just lean towards more the separation of the two, not necessarily the death of either. If it is the death of one, I'd be really upset if it is Orochi. And I'm wondering, what does God's influence have to do amongst either of these two individuals after the fact, during the fact? Like, is he still going to be influencing them? Like, there's some more questions to hop onto. And the prediction video, hopefully we can dive into a little bit longer. Or a little bit more. See you boys next time, man. Yo ho!